Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So the video is not clickbait. I'm actually working on my own Go format website, and I just recently started it. I was debating on whether I should even make a video about it or not, but I decided I'm gonna basically reveal my plans and basically what I'm working on because I'm really excited about it, and it's been pretty fun working on this project. Initially, I was just goofing around, but now I'm determined to actually finish it. And I know that Alan did something similar with Goat Duels. He was trying to make his own Goat format simulator, and basically for various reasons he decided to, essentially stop working on it. But so that was kind of like the main reason why I was debating on whether I should, even talk about this. It's because I don't want the same thing to happen where, I make some progress and then I decide to give up on it for whatever reason, and to just create unnecessary hype and excitement over it. But like I said, I'm determined to actually finish it and to release it, and yeah, it's actually fun. It's actually fun working on this, so yeah, that's why I'm determined. But anyway, so what you're seeing on the screen is basically kind of like the homepage for the website. So as you can see here, it says online dueling simulator. Basically, this is going to be kind of like an all-in-one type of website. The goal is not to undermine already existing platforms. So the official Goat from a website, Dueling Book, like obviously people are still going to use those and refer to those and whatnot. But I just overall, my vision was to create, a polished product, something that basically has everything in one place, whether it's tournament coverage or rulings or deck lists. And the idea is to actually, keep it up to date and to showcase things that are relevant. Um, and so yeah. So once you visit the website, you're going to be presented with this home screen, and you can see some of the things I was talking about, like in the header bar there. There's like the ban list, rulings, how to play. There's also going to be some articles and whatnot for beginners that are just getting into the format. I haven't added everything. This is kind of just, there's just kind of like a page that I created just for the sake of like testing it. And this is roughly an idea of what I want it to look like, but the final product's going to definitely look different. But here I created kind of like a mock article card, I guess you can call it. So on the website, there's going to have these like guides, or here on the main page, there's like these strategies, like strategy or guide cards or whatever. These are going to be mostly geared towards, beginners and whatnot. But of course, like I said, there's also going to be event coverage, deck lists being posted up, and various other like strategy guides, side deck guides, all that type of stuff. But yeah, basically this is what I have for now. In addition, you might have noticed that I have like some weird text here and whatnot. That's because I haven't chosen a name for the website yet. If you guys have any ideas on what it should be called, let me know in the comments. I definitely take suggestions. I definitely consider everything. But yeah, so I'll just a heads up, not to pay too much attention to that. So yeah, basically you get into the website. If you want to just use it as like a regular user who's just reading or wants to be up to date with like tournament coverage and whatever, you could do that. But if you want to actually play Goat format, well, here is the sign up and login section, basically. And another thing that I added is you can actually log in with Discord, because a lot of Goat format players have Discords, and just to add further integration, you could basically, if you have a Discord account, instead of using an email and whatnot, you could just use your Discord, authorize it to access your email and username and avatar, and then you're greeted with a message that you're logged in. And then of course you get the button That's going to allow you to actually enter the simulator itself. And of course, you can sign out. There's some changes that I need to make. I want to make it like pretty obvious that you're signed in. Like if you log into the website, or if you enter the website, I want to make it pretty obvious at a first glance that if you just look at it, you're like, oh, I'm logged in, right? So there are some things that I'm going to change here. And like I think I mentioned it, basically I want it to be like cross-platform. So I want this to look good and to work nicely on desktop computers, laptops, and even mobile devices. So here is basically like kind of an idea of what the website's going to work if you're accessing it on a phone. And if we enter the simulator itself, this is so far the main page. So yeah, you're going to basically be seeing like some visual glitches, or well, not glitches, but like bugs and whatnot. Essentially the reason why this picture here looks like this is because I haven't been paying as much attention to the mobile view. I've been mostly focusing on the desktop integration. So that's been a lower priority for me. But I'm definitely going to be polishing things up. Like I want to make sure that things are actually working first on the desktop, and then I'm going to focus on actually implementing things so that they look good and that they work and function properly when you're accessing it from the phone. So that's pretty much like a simple fix, but right now I'm prioritizing like a lot more important things. But basically this is the main menu page for the simulator, and you've got various buttons. You've got the dueling room, deck builder, profile, rankings, events, settings, and I'm going to add more. There's going to be also a replay section, and there's also going to be like something called data, I guess, or something like that. Because I know a lot of people have been getting hyped up about data analysis, match analysis, stuff like that. That's definitely a feature that I want to add to the simulator over time. And with this blank space, initially I wanted to put the event calendar here so that, the moment you're logged in, you can see and, be up to date with all the tournaments and events going on. But I decided I'm probably just going to have a dedicated page for that so that, you can see what the events are, but you can also create like your own little tournaments and whatnot that you can host. And of course, like it's going to be integrated nicely with Challenge, or however the fuck you pronounce it. There's the idea is that like there's going to be a lot of integration with a lot of things that, Go format players typically use, so that it just makes the whole process seamless and everything when it comes to tournaments and just, overall when it comes to using the website and the simulator. So over here instead, what maybe I could do is I could still provide some sort of reminders. Like let's say there's an ongoing tournament, or let's say there's an upcoming tournament that's going to be in a couple days or like a week or so. I could still add that here to kind of act as a reminder. But in addition to that, it could also act kind of like a news feed where maybe there's an update to the website and that's being reflected here. I don't know. The one thing that's for sure is that unlike Dueling Book, I'm definitely not going to be adding some sort of like a main menu Twitter status post type thing, because that's usually filled with people just posting weird shit all the time, and that's completely unnecessary in my opinion. But yeah, if you guys have any ideas or suggestions for this part specifically, or just anything else relating to the main menu, definitely tell me. But yeah, I wanted to make it a little bit more concise, I guess, to the point, I guess. Like for example, there's a single button for the profile. This is where you're going to be able to not just like view your own profile, but also other profiles. On Dueling Book, I think there's something like profile viewer and your profile or something. There's like two different buttons, and it's always confusing like which one to click when, depending on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to just look at your profile, or if you're trying to like actually change your profile with the picture and the sleeves and whatnot. I'm going to try to make it like basically more intuitive. But these things, there's time until they get implemented, obviously. Right now, the main two things are the deck builder and the dueling room, where you can actually like play with people. And currently, I'm working on the deck builder. So this is it for now. There are a lot of changes. I can make like a video of its own just talking about this and my plans for the deck builder. I'm going to try to keep it short for this video. I don't want to make it too long. But basically, this is kind of what it looks like at a first glance. And I've added just 3 cards here. Like I said, there are going to be some visual bugs when presenting these videos. Currently, one thing that I'm not focused on too much is actually, making the names look correct and everything. You can see that the name kind of looks weird. It's also supposed to be white for spell and trap cards, but it's supposed to be black for monster cards. Monster cards right now are like the most messed up because there's no attribute, there's no stars, no, effector, whatever, like no attack, defense, stuff like that. That's going to be fixed. But yeah, I just added 3 cards. The reason why I added these ones is because Scapegoat, obviously it's iconic, but it's also unlimited. Gravity Bind is semi-limited, and Sinister Serpent is limited, to kind of showcase, that aspect as well. But basically, let's try to add a card, to the deck grid. And as you can see, once you add a card that's limited, I'm also going to add an indicator just like in Dueling Book to show, which cards are limited to 1 or semi-limited. But basically, once you've already added a card that's limited to 1, let me try to zoom in to make it easier to see. So yeah, basically, there's like this X button, and it's grayed out a bit, or desaturated rather. And if you try to add it, you can see this hover state where it says Sinister Serpent, limit reached with a big X. And of course, you just, you can't add it to the deck. Same thing applies for cards that are basically semi-limited. And of course, even for cards that are unlimited. And so far I've implemented, actually dragging cards to both the main deck and the side deck. There's even a counter here to show how many cards you have in your deck. You can kind of sort things up here. Like, let's say I want to make it first monsters and then spells and traps. Of course, there's going to be a button, just like in Dueling Book, that's going to sort everything in alphabetical order. There's also going to be a button to clear everything. So far, the button to remove cards, like basically when you drag a card, when it's in a drag state, this message appears here at the top that says drop here to remove card from deck. This is just temporary because, like, let's say you have this Gravity Bind in the side deck, and let's say you just want a single copy of it. It's going to be just like in Dueling Book, a lot simpler to be able to drag it anywhere outside the grid instead of having to drag it all the way here to the top. So that's something that's going to be implemented. But one of the main things you might have noticed actually is at first glance, if you look at the deck grid, you'll see that it's 4x10. So by default, the view is just going to show 40 cards for your main deck. And this is intentional. The reason why is that the absolute vast majority of decks that are going to be built and played are going to be 40 cards. A lot of players are competitive. They're probably never going to make 40 plus card decks. They're just going to make 40 card decks. And even for casual players, I almost never see anyone playing a deck that has more than 40 cards. But if you really do want to play and build a deck that's like 60 cards or 50 cards, there's a button here at the top, expand, which basically just fills up the grid with more card slots, makes them smaller to accommodate. And this is still nice because, like, this doesn't take up crazy amount of visual space. Like on Dueling Book, for example, especially if you're trying to take a screenshot, basically you've got the 40 card slots here, and beneath that there's an additional 20 card slots that are like pretty much never used or filled up. So when you're trying to take a screenshot, it doesn't look good, especially when you're trying to capture both the main deck and the side deck. And this way, when it comes to screenshotting things, it's going to be much better. And obviously, I'm also going to be implementing a screenshot tool in the website as well. But the idea is for it to be like in a very presentable format. So when you take the screenshot of the deck, you can clearly see the main and the side deck. Now, the Fusion deck is an interesting case here. I still have, just like basically other simulators, a limit here for the Fusion deck, 15 cards. Now, the idea behind this is that when you go into a game, when you're actually playing, every person that's going to be playing a match is going to have access to 3 copies of every single Fusion in the format, just how it is in GOAT format. There's no reason for that not to be the case. The only reason why I'm presenting 15 cards here is basically like people are probably going to still want to like hover over, especially maybe if they have like some sort of Stein deck and they're like, what was that one level 7 monster, that basically didn't allow monsters to be summoned, so they might think of Last Warrior from Another Planet and they might want to hover over it so that they can see its stats and effects and everything. So basically, this is more so going to be just a display of cards so that people can quickly glance and hover over basically their favorite fusions or whatever. It's just going to be for display, basically. I'm probably going to add a button here as well, which is going to show you every single fusion so that you can look at all of them. But the idea is also for there to be proper compatibility across simulators. So this is going to support YDK format imports and exports. So basically, you're going to be able to export your deck from this simulator and import it onto Dueling Book, for example. Or if you want to migrate a deck from Dueling Book onto this simulator, you're going to be able to do so seamlessly. The idea is, like I said, for there to be basically integration across the board. Now, I haven't even begun trying to implement this, in mobile version because, I just want to make sure that everything actually works and looks good and is functional on the desktop first. And then I'm going to, even begin to start thinking about implementing it for the phone. But one thing that's for sure is it's going to look a lot different on the phone. I mean, not crazy different, but it's going to be in a way that makes sense for the phone. One thing you might have noticed as I'm hovering over the cards here is that just like in Dueling Book and various simulators, there's basically, information about the card here below it. But there are 2 additional buttons. So obviously, for certain cards, like let's say Dark Magician, it's a normal monster. There are really no rulings tied to that card. So if there's a card that doesn't have rulings, like this button is probably going to be grayed out. But for cards that do have rulings, if you really quickly want to see the rulings page for a specific card, you could just hover over it and click this button, and it's going to take you to that page. So I think that that's very convenient when people are deck building, and maybe there's a card that they're kind of like wondering what the rulings are, like especially for something like Stumbling, let's say, for example, like that would be pretty convenient. So you're going to have quick access to that. And the second button is the bookmark button, which initially, and you'll be able to see it here, favorites. Obviously, I was inspired by Dueling Book's idea where you can basically like right click a card and then it's going to take some time for the pop-up to appear, because if you just right click a card, it removes it from the deck. But if you hold the right click, that's when the button appears. So I don't think there's any other way to add cards to favorites. And basically, if you don't know to do that, you wouldn't even know how to add a card to your favorites. Whereas for this, I'm going to try to make it like more intuitive and just easier to do. Basically, like you hover over a card, you see the bookmark button, you click on the bookmark button, it adds it to your bookmark cards, and this button turns green. It says bookmarked, so that you know which card is in your bookmarks tab and which ones aren't. And yeah, you'll be able to just quickly like do this for every card. Another thing that I'm going to implement is I want this simulator to also be keyboard driven. So like what you can also do is you could like select the card and press the B button, or like like B on your keyboard, for example. And that's also going to add it to the bookmarks. So yeah, basically I want to try to make things pretty intuitive and easy to do, and just like speed the whole process up of building a deck and just, messing around with the deck builder. Obviously, like, it's missing a lot of buttons, like creating the deck, deleting the deck, saving it, importing, exporting. I'm still wondering where to put those buttons. I know I have some space here, but the idea is like these effects aren't too long, but let's say for longer effects, the idea is instead of having to scroll for this to like dynamically expand, so I'm going to need some like free space here. Maybe I was thinking like pushing the this part over here, like just the entire grid a little bit lower and having a bunch of buttons at the top. That's probably the way I'm going to do it, but I'm still thinking about it. And over here in the search and filters, like instead of it saying this, instead of it having like a title for no reason and like a button, this is going to be tabbed. So the main tab is going to be just the standard search filters, and then the other tab is going to be your bookmark tab, so that if you want, you could just search specifically the cards that you have bookmarked. There are just numerous things here. Like, I'm going to definitely save up on space. I'm going to try to like maximize efficiency here as well for that. But like I was saying, that's just a lot of stuff. There's so many things to talk about for the deck builder and for my plans for the deck builder that the video is just going to get too long. But I feel like I covered enough for now. And yeah, I've been working on this for almost a month. It's been like 3 weeks or so. So I'm very happy with the progress so far. But definitely, if you guys have any suggestions, let me know. Like I mentioned, I definitely am going to consider everything. And if I like the idea, I'm definitely going to implement it. And if you guys want to, like if you guys really want this website to actually become a thing and actually be real, I would definitely appreciate if you guys just, like the video, comment on it, share it, because the more people that are aware, the more hyped I'm just going to get, working on it. And yeah, if you want to be kept up to date with how the progress is going, I definitely have plans on making more videos and all that type of stuff. Definitely subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you in the next update.